don't have
Sounds like some Gen Alpha stuff is what it sounds like.
No, it's Gen whatever I am. It's awesome.
Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan.
And this is episode 478. And the question of the week is, what are you playing right now?
Nice.
Just ask Nolan.
No. We're going to start with Kenny.
Well, then go fast and get me out of the way.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Okay,
Kenny,
perfect.
Kenny, it's been months since I've asked last.
Okay.
So you've had plenty of time to adopt new games into your life cycle.
You really think he did that?
Correct.
So, okay, are you? Tell me what games you're playing, and in there, it should include some of the new games you've been playing.
Well, I don't know the best way to disappoint you.
If you say bizarre.
So, yeah, I've been playing the Bazaar some, though less. It has lost its sheen. I've been playing some chess. The only other sort of, besides our podcast, like our game of the week, the only other sort of video game related thing I've done is I've watched a little bit of League content, but just in video form.
No.
Kenny, should
don't
I
let
install
us.
it?
Don't let it back in.
Nolan.
Kenny?
Don't let it back in.
We'll talk after the show.
Okay.
Okay. Kenny, this last week and a half, Nolan and I have put in about 10 to 11 hours of Expedition 33.
Right.
Multiple settings.
I've heard it's not the game for me.
Correct. Kenny, with the gaming time that you have in your life, so let's just say if you're like us, which you're somewhat, well, I don't know, you've maybe put in 10 hours of gaming this week. Are you telling me that 9 out of 10 of those hours is on chess?
And the Bazaar, yeah.
No, 9 out of 10. The
That's
1 hour I would have thought
chess.
was the Bazaar. That's a lot of chess.
Have you ever considered like going pro? I'm not joking at all in either one of those things.
No,
I'm not nearly good enough at either.
No, I know chess is impossible.
And never would be.
But the Bazaar is it's like a Hearthstone competitive thing.
It is. Bazaar is tricky for me. The nature of the game, I feel like I can't play competitively. It's a single player game. But it's hard to chase success because I just want to do cool stuff. And so I like chase fun builds at the cost
that's insanely streamable content.
Of consistently winning.
So be a streamer. I'd watch it all day.
I praise.
I'd watch it all day. Nolan, what are you playing right now?
Freaking Expedition Peak 33. It's so good. Yeah, I really like it. I did wrap up Rebirth, though. I have to announce that I beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth 101 hours, and it's freaking amazing. And, Dustin, I'm kind of mad you haven't played it.
Well,
a little disappointed.
It's not a Final Fantasy game.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. So I'm also playing Expedition. It's really good.
Does Rebirth end in the Forgotten Capital, in the Forgotten City?
Yeah. It does. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead because we're playing the same thing right now. Well, I just finished Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's fine. It's good. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
And then I just started the other day Expedition 33. We're about at the same spot, and I think we're enjoying it about the same amount. Maybe Nolan even just a little bit more than me, but. Music, wonderful. Graphics, excellent. Some of the characters are rich, but the combat is just everything.
The combat is everything, and pretty much the not the sole source of my enjoyment with the game so far, but a huge part of it. They're gonna have to deliver on the story side, and if they do, it's gonna be it's going to live up to everything people have been saying for me.
Well, and I think most of the hype that I had heard had been centered on the story.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're still in the have no idea what's kind of going on.
We're world building still big time.
Oh yeah.
There's too much.
So there's still a lot more there for us. But yeah, we're having fun. It's a lot of fun. You can join the Discord and let us know what you're playing, whether it's the Bazaar or chess like Kenny, or whether you're playing Expedition 33 like Nolan and I, who are both on some demon time, and we got that dog in us. That's right, demon dog, like in our retro game of the week, Inuyasha, Secret of the Divine Jewel.
Overview.
Inuyasha, Secret of the Divine Jewel was developed by Art Co. Limited and Frontier Groove. And it was published by Bandai Namco, that's the one you recognize, in 2007 for the Nintendo DS.
I'm not gonna have you guess. We haven't played many DS games though. I looked.
What, like 6?
Yeah.
I think that's right about how many. The last one we played was I think Hotel Dusk.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yes.
it's been a minute then. It's almost
Right.
been a year.
Which, by the way, I need to say, I can't believe that we didn't recognize this. Maybe we were just living in bliss for far too long. But last episode, we broke our longest yes streak that we've ever had in the history of the podcast.
we all three said
Wow.
no, too.
Right, so we
Wow.
I think had 9. It was besides before last week's game, which was Twinkle Star Sprites, the last game before that did not get New Game Plus status was Spice World.
Wow.
Whoa.
And that one might have deserved it.
I haven't even computed that we've been
Right.
saying yes every time.
For months.
That's crazy.
I know.
Twinkle Star Sprites is the one that...
We haven't been all saying
Correct.
yes.
No.
Oh, no,
but,
no,
like,
no.
I just didn't notice that. Wow.
In fact, Kenny's been saying a lot of no's now that I'm looking at it.
That's why he can't
Thank
believe
you. Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? All of these games have been bad.
Nolan's the only one that has said yes every single time. That has included 2 director's episodes. Not to sidebar us too far, but I thought that was very interesting.
Very interesting.
It is.
Now let's see if we can get our longest streak of no.
Easy.
Well, it depends. But we're off to a good start.
Oh.
Anime trivia. You ready?
Oh no.
Everybody. We're
Okay.
playing. Okay.
I got this.
Okay. Which anime ran for 167 episodes from 2000 to 2004?
Bing.
Inuyasha.
Oh wow. So I binged.
Well, yeah.
I didn't say
Bing
it was
is
being
not,
correct,
Bing
Kenny.
is not the answer of an anime.
Didn't know you liked anime. Which anime ended before the manga was finished, leaving a lot unresolved?
Inuyasha.
Death Note.
That's crazy that you know that, Kenny. Which anime has a girl who happens to be the reincarnation of a powerful priestess going back and forth between modern-day Tokyo and the Sengoku period?
Naruto?
Sailor Moon.
Both wrong. Which anime has half demon boys with that dog in them with modern hairstyles for some reason?
Probably a lot more than you
Probably a
like.
lot of them, actually. Like
Probably most of
wait,
them.
all of them? But also Inuyasha. Okay, so now that we have the context about the show this game is based on, let's briefly talk about story. In this game, you play as Janice.
Thought you were gonna say Inuyasha.
Janice, a brand new character, so not from the show.
Yeah, this is not a retelling of the
Right.
show. This is just in that universe. New
This is
character.
this is some white girl with blonde hair.
It's literally a white
transplant
girl from the
character.
States.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is traveling back to Japan because of her father's work or something. She befriends a girl named Kagome, who is from the show, and that is the priestess I was talking about. But then suddenly gets isekai'd into Inuyasha's world via spiritual nonsense. Y'all don't know what that word means because
Wow.
you're
anime
not
fan.
into anime
Correct. I'm very
or
confused.
Japanese culture.
But I now sort of understand it because I
Does it-
played
Okay.
this game.
Does
It's
it mean
literally
sucked?
isekai is literally a trope where
Yeah.
like an American or a foreigner goes to Japan, like old world Japan, like it's a thing.
That's gonna be you and your wife in a couple months.
yeah. We're gonna get isekai'd in October.
Nice.
Yeah, stop throwing that word around. Now, in the Sengoku period, Janice is informed that she has powers called Kamatama.
Kombucha.
Kombucha? which must be returned to a god. So
Kamui-tama?
Ooh, nice.
wait, nice, Kenny. That's it. So
Yeah.
we have to return the Kamui-tama, otherwise she'll be killed by demons and Satan. The end. It is an RPG. I didn't mention that. I think that about covers it.
It does. The one other thing that I would say is being on a Nintendo DS game, you can play the entire thing without your stylus.
Well, yeah, I've got.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into it, and I'm pretty mad. But I just want to say I've never seen this anime. Thank God. But
Whoa.
I know it was hot stuff.
Thank dog.
In the early 2000s, thanks to Toonami on Cartoon Network. Are you guys familiar with Toonami?
And to Zach.
And my friend Zach, who was a huge fan of this show.
Yeah, I'm aware of Toonami. It's after Kenny and my time.
Is it really?
Yes.
That's a
Oh,
shame.
yeah.
It's so goated. Drum and bass music, and then there's this like alien robot guy in space queuing up the next track. He's like, next on Toonami, Dragon Ball Z. Dude,
sounds
that's
like
crazy. I don't have.
Sounds like some Gen Alpha stuff is what it sounds
No,
like.
it's Gen whatever I am. It's awesome. NGP is basically a book club, but instead of boring old books, we play retro video games. And it would be impossible without you, our community. Every week, we hang out in Discord with you, and we talk about new and old video games. Discord is the hub for all things NGP. In Discord, you can talk about the game of the week that we're playing for the podcast. You can talk about retro finds that you find at the gaming store. Or you can talk about hobbies, if anyone even has those anymore. All you have to do to get involved in the community is go to discord.gg/newgameplus and get plugged in with our ever-growing community of retro gamers. We'll see you there.
Gameplay.
For 3 late-aged men in America who have never seen an episode of Inuyasha before, were you surprised? Is the first question, and the second question
Yeah, I was.
is
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna hold on. The first question is, were you surprised, and the second question is, were you confused by the amount of and the depth of story up front, and really all throughout, but certainly up front in this game? It's a very story-centric game.
Yes, I was surprised.
Okay.
No, about whatever your second question was.
Were you? I don't remember, but something about like being confused, or was it?
Yeah, I wasn't
overwhelming?
confused.
Okay, yeah.
It was a lot of story, but it was story and they told it.
I
went
was
for the ride.
surprised that it was like, obviously you're going to get, some text and some conversations and some story because it's an RPG, but that's all you get in this game. It's like, it's actually so much. So yeah, I was a bit surprised by that.
And were you overwhelmed by it? Was it confusing for you
Yes.
for someone who didn't know the show?
It wasn't confusing because you are Janice and the game is meant to be dropped into the
Good
world
point.
of Inuyasha, and so they do an okay job. Well, actually, they do way too much explaining. There's a lot of exposition in this game and little subtext. It's actually really anime in that sense, the way it's written.
Yeah.
So I understood what was going on, but I think I would have appreciated it more if I knew that in the show it's a running joke for Kagome to tell Inuyasha to sit, boy, like a dog.
Right,
stuff
but that's
like
not a
that.
big plot point, but that
No,
does
no.
add character for sure. And some would say charm. I agree, Kenny, that, and some with Nolan, that surprised but not overwhelmed. I agree that I think they did a really good job of kind of just telling you the stories that went along. I have never seen an episode, but never felt lost. And Nolan, you're probably right that since the character is an Ishudaba, sorry, shouldn't have done that, but whatever you said of
Wow.
like just a transplant or whatever, but
Yeah.
then she's learning it all for the first time, so we're kind of in her shoes. And I think the developers at least did well with that in giving us the story in a way for people that weren't fans of the series, which is also crazy because I don't think I don't think it's canon, but I think it's connected to the story in a sense that it's like after. I mean, yeah, it's way into the story of Inuyasha. Like we're after many seasons at this point.
Well, we're 3 years after the show ended.
Oh, after
It ran from
They
2000 to 2004.
only Okay, but
The
what we
manga,
didn't
though.
say earlier is that this actually started as a Japanese manga series that ran from 96 to 2008.
Yes, so they like that's what I said in the trivia section was that like they had an anime only ending that but the manga continued. So
Yeah.
there's like a disconnect there. And I do think it came back though. I think the anime came back for like a final
Oh, that's
a
cool.
final run and maybe this was
There was also
There-
4 animated
during-
films. There were 3 anime series. I think one of them may be
Okay.
a spin-off. Multiple
Yeah.
albums, a novel, a play.
Oh.
There was a play.
Yeah, like a theater production, and about a dozen video games, many of them on phones, though, which was a
Oh,
huge
no.
market in Japan. You know, they
Sure.
did a lot more phone.
Yeah.
phone
Yeah,
gaming.
yeah.
I'm glad you clarified what a play is.
Okay, Kenny. The in-between story segments, you are getting into battles. This is kind of your traditional random encounters. No enemies on the map, but just or rarely enemies on the map. You are getting into these random encounters. You have another thing that surprised me is not 1, 2, or 3 party members, not even 4 or 5, but you have up to 6, I think, party members at any given time.
It's
a
a
bit-
pretty big group that you can have in your party for sure.
It's like that's like how many you get in normal RPGs, but they make you pick 3 of those. But they're like, no, I'll go
And-
up there.
And you slowly get them in modern RPGs. And this one, it's like, here's your 6.
Dump
Yeah.
them in your lap. Yeah, it happens
Yeah.
relatively quickly. Even the first, like, you start with a cast of 3. Like, you don't even get into a fight that's not like a group.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
Yeah. And that's probably the only area where I felt like I was missing something story related, is because it gives you this team of characters that you don't really know if you haven't seen the show before.
Yeah.
And I wish that I would know them a little bit more, because like I don't honestly even know their names. I know you have the little fox kid that I think is a girl, but I don't know. You've got the he's not a mage, but a priest guy that does your healing. You've got so like they're a little bit blurry because I don't have any greater connection to them.
Agreed. And dealing with that many characters, in a turn-based setting, I dislike. I would rather have
Fire
3 to
Emblem?
4.
You felt like you had too much hitting of buttons
it's
and
a
choosing things over and over again.
Yeah, it's a bit busy to have to go through that many people, but like this is an actual turn-based RPG with random encounters, which that surprised me. Because I don't know what kind of game I thought it was going to be, but not that. But don't get it twisted. There's nothing special going on with the combat. It's about as dry as they come, but it is turn-based with all of those characters, and yeah, I don't know. I just. I don't know what kind of game. I thought it was a dating sim or something.
Dustin was making noises. Do you disagree?
Of course, and a lot of people have said the same thing that Nolan is saying, and wrong. Like maybe at face value, but there is at least one element that I've never seen in any other kind of turn-based battle system before. And it's one that I organically came across because you can't find walkthroughs, you can find one poorly written walkthrough online, but you can't even find the manual scanned and online, unfortunately. So like it's very tough to get content and kind of know what you're doing. So you kind of have to learn yourself. I stumbled across the mechanic in battle right before you're attacked or right before you do a normal attack. Sometimes character portraits will appear on the bottom of the screen, 1, 2, or 3. And if you press the corresponding buttons on the DS, I don't really know what they correspond to, but the left button, top button, right button, in that brief window of time, you're actually bringing in party members to either tank the damage for the character that was about to be attacked, or have them join in on doing a normal attack on the enemy that one person was attacking, even if it's not yet their turn. That mechanic that maybe by the look of it, Kenny didn't know was a thing.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it existed.
does add in Nolan. I hate to do this, but we are playing Expedition 33 right now,
No, we're not.
and it
You
is a
better stop
turn-based
it.
game with an active element, and this, I'm telling you,
So it's kind of QTE style. Like you have to
Kind
do
of.
something active based
Well, it
on what's
actually-
coming up on the screen
That
as
is
it
what
happens.
was like.
it's up to 3 different character portraits, and you have 2 seconds maybe where you can press one of those buttons and it corresponds with the placement of those characters. So basically, like, you've got some characters that are weaker and will take more damage, and so you want to spread it out to maybe some of your thicker characters, and so if they show up,
going.
you've got to click that faster. You can get it across a few of them. So yeah, there is an active component to it.
Sure, but why don't they explain that? By the way,
Yeah, they don't. Well,
That's
maybe
so
because they did
weird.
in the manual that we can't get.
probably because that is the only thing that would make it significant, and you should know how to do that. But they don't say.
Yeah, they don't.
But like
They
even
don't.
with that, I'm like, yeah, I guess. Okay, so I take back what I said, that there's nothing special going on. But I don't think that mechanic is super transformative in this game. I mean, it's there, but I don't think it's utilized in a way that matters.
I would agree with the first part in the sense that it's probably not transformative. It's something to do and something that's added. I will say, though, that there is one other component that has been done in games before. This one has a slightly unique bent to it, and it's the MP system. It's not MP here, it's EP. I think it's probably energy points. That's my guess. But you've got every character has HP and EP. Your HP is just your health.
I'm so glad that it's EP. That tiny little screen, I thought it was ED all this time. And
You
I
think
was
they were
like,
using their dysfunction
I
point?
was like, these
Wow.
poor guys. They can fix that.
Wow. And so you've got these little blocks, ticks of EP, and certain characters have maybe 4 of them, and some have 6 or 8 or 10. And when you do a normal attack, it just takes away 1 of those. And if you do one of those support attacks or defenses, it takes 1 from each of those support members. But everybody has a magic to use. It's called different things depending on different characters, but you can use certain magic that require 2, 3, 4 or more EP. Then that EP is depleted when you use those things and is built up either on your next turn, you'll get 1 tick back, or when you use it's not the charge option, but there is an option, maybe it's the charge, but it's
Focus.
option,
The focus.
focus
option.
where
think
you
that's
can
what it is.
regain a set amount of energy points, or outside of battle, when you walk around, you're gaining ticks of EP back. So that's another element that's slightly a unique
Yeah.
twist on the MP formula.
Yeah, the resource management of that is
Yes.
interesting, if not slightly annoying. But like, MP management's also annoying, so I can't really knock it for that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I hate it.
How did
all
you
I can
guys feel? How did you guys feel about the encounter rate?
Rephrase that.
Well, I sure
I'll
got in a
feel
lot
you.
of fights.
Why is the encounter rate this high?
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah, it's Dustin. Don't. It is so noticeable and way too frequent.
He wanted to embrace the grind and just really loved
No,
his
I don't know
quick
what
time
he's gonna
event
say. I don't know what he's
moments.
gonna say.
I don't disagree. I don't think it's the random encounter rate that is too high. I think the formula that they used is incorrect, because sometimes you can go for quite a while, and then sometimes it's literally a step or two. And I think for 2 things, they did that probably intentionally. One, to not make it too easy, because with the EP replenishing system, I think it would have been too easy if you could get all your EP back before every
maybe.
battle. And then 2, to pad the game. I think they just wanted to make the game a little bit longer.
That is what my bitter thoughts said to me this week, is that
Sure.
they just wanted to make the game longer.
And I don't think it's a great option. So I do think that the formula for their encounter rate is is not.
It's off.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
it
little
makes it
more
challenging.
aggressive than it needs to be.
Sure.
For sure.
Well, and on top of that, they make now. I never tried to do this because I'm not. I'm not weak, but there's a lot of people that try to run from battles early on in this game, and
never flee.
they don't even make that where you can really do it. You kind of run one person at a time, and so the other people are left there to die.
all 6. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
all
see you
six.
guys later.
Yeah, and so I never
Dang.
did that once, but I could see you wanting to do it because of the frequency of battles, and so you've got to
Yeah.
give us something, right? Give us a lot of battles, but let us run,
Sure.
or give us less. So I
Just
I
make
see
it
what you're saying.
balanced is what you should
Yeah.
do. Okay. Something I want to talk about here with combat and just kind of how you're interacting with the game. You mentioned earlier, this is one of those DS games that doesn't care about the functionality of the console.
Correct. It's just we use both screens for
Right.
visual storytelling,
is
but
good.
nothing interactive.
Yeah,
you're
like-
not touching the screen. You're not using the stylus. It's just buttons, and that's not necessarily a problem. But it's worth pointing out when we're playing a DS game which type of DS game it is.
Yeah.
Because some people have a
exactly.
preference.
It's not a problem. It's just sometimes disappointing. The only utilization they make of the two screens that I could tell is, in combat, they do this like really epic animation where it takes up both screens and it's like this epic moment. I liked that. I did like that. But it would have been cool that some of those interactive things you're talking about, Dustin, if they baked in some sort of like touch screen moment, or that would.
And you can
really
use
cool.
the stylus to select
yes.
the characters.
And
but
you can menu with it.
yeah, but it's
not-
one
it's
of
not
those
the
games
same.
that you certainly don't
It
need a
doesn't
stylus.
it doesn't feel like a DS game. You could play it in some other format and be perfectly fine.
That being said, I do like how they use the dual screens. So in the top screen, primarily, it's the game. So it's your overworld, it's your towns that you're visiting, it's your battles, for the most part. Your bottom screen is largely your menus, your character info, and the dialogue boxes.
Yeah, I like the concept of that. I feel like the utilization of that bottom screen, and maybe this gets a lot better, and I think it does some as your like party is fuller, but especially early on, it felt really empty. Like just a lot of that space wasn't being used or wasn't being used well, and I was just kind of like, this is ugly. They could have like filled it out a little bit better. It's nitpicky, but it was a fine way to use the two screens. So,
Like these traditional JRPGs, I mean, you're leveling up. Your stats increase. I don't think you can see your stats necessarily, but your stats increase. You do hit harder. Really though, that's behind the scene because like your primary mechanic is your magical abilities and your EP and the conservation of that, knowing what to use, when to use it. Did y'all have a particular magical ability that you relied on, or were you just going into every battle for like not knowing what to do? Because you should probably have a strategy.
I mean, Inuyasha's kind of your melee boy. He has access to some sort of magic that does like some physical sword stuff. Really cool, actually. He was great. Hit really hard. I relied on him a lot. But then Janice, mostly, I think she exists to drive the plot because she's like the magical girl and she has this power. But she's kind of like a support character in a way. So I relied on her a lot. I don't remember the name of the skill, but there's one that's like a buff or something.
Like the power up buff that buffs people and makes them stronger. She's got that, and then she's also got a heal, like a purify of a character.
So those were my two go-tos. But yeah, Kenny, I don't know if you had one.
I found myself very intentionally not just like doing one thing. I wanted to get to know everything. So I would use a skill and then I would use a different skill and just kind of play around with it.
Making it hard on yourself.
I am. And there's certainly some that were stronger than others.
Oh yeah. For me, Inuyasha's Wind Scar for the win. There are a few abilities that hit all enemies, regardless of their placement on the screen. Wind Scar was one of those that I would just do constantly. Now,
it takes a lot of EP.
It takes a lot of EP, right? I think you can get it done twice in battle, at least. Maybe not right at the beginning, but you can get it done twice in battle. But then you can just charge up. But twice in battle and most of your trash mobs are
You
dead.
just dodge and parry,
Yeah.
you'll get more AP. I mean,
That's
AP.
Expedition 33.
Oh, okay.
I thought that it was a good story that was driven for. Well, let me rephrase that, because I don't think it was a great story. But
It was
but
a story.
yeah, it was a story. It was fine for what it was. It kept you moving to new locations. One of the fun things is that a few times throughout the game you're traveling back to present day Japan, because you've
Yeah.
got to take your exams, and
Yeah.
then you're going back to
Yeah.
the past. You're
Yes.
dealing with all of the spirits and the demons of that world, and you get to visit different towns that have
That's
townspeople
gotta
and
be
shops.
like what the anime is like.
Oh yeah,
Going
I would
from the
imagine.
demon stuff to we got to take our exams. Yeah.
Sure,
That's what I
sure.
imagine.
Yeah, because right, like they're trying to get young Japanese school kids to like really
Yeah.
empathize with
Yeah.
this kind of thing.
One thing back to the characters just for briefly. I had a issue with the you said that there's no way to really see the stats or like do a lot of customization. There's kind of a lack of, because this is an RPG, so I'm going to judge it as an RPG. There's a bit of a lack of character progression, which can be fine, especially with this many characters all having like a very distinct and like stated archetype. Like you've got your monk, you have a caster, you have a healer, a ranged dealer, and then a melee. But I don't know. I just always look for how can I make my party, but this game doesn't really have that. It doesn't really allow that all that much.
Yeah, I mean it's handheld. It is
Exactly, it's the DS. You can
I
do this
don't
on
know.
GBA.
What are
You
you
can-
like?
You can be a
Armor?
handheld without
mean-
hand holding.
Okay.
I'm just the first one that came to mind when you asked, Golden Sun, doesn't have a ton going on, but they do have the Jin system, which is like summons, but then they have elements that influence other parts of your character, and you can equip them with Jins and skills. Like there's some menuing to do with your characters. I just like said fiddling with my characters.
Yeah, one or
Maybe
one or
not
two
in this context.
one or two things that like I think if they would have been more clear. I think it's just in certain like story beats where maybe your girl Janice gets another EP or something like that, but I don't think that is from level progression. But if there would have been some, because that was huge, every
Yes,
new
it is
EP
huge.
block would have been huge, so that. And then maybe if there were some additional magic abilities per character that either come with level up or you could buy at stores, and then you have to swap out which ones are available for any given time or situation. Maybe those two things alone would have made it a little bit more RPG, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Aged.
I want Nolan,
No.
hater, to comment on the graphics of this game.
The graphics are amazing.
Aren't they so good?
The graphics are way too good for like a DS. I was a bit like, wait a minute, because DS
Wait a
can be
minute.
known for bad graphics. Like that, they sometimes have a really distinct look to them. Really, is it anti-aliasing, where it's like the edges are really harsh, the outlines
Sure.
of things. This one has none of that. Instead, it has great pixel density, and the sprite work is amazing. Every character stood out and looked unique and looked like the show. I'm very surprised with how the graphics look.
Yeah.
And when you said they pop up at the bottom of the screen, those looked insanely detailed, like even more than their normal portraits.
the graphics of this game reminded me a lot of like a good GBA title, like those kind of graphics.
Yeah, it's got that vibe easily.
Yeah, which
I'm not disagreeing with either of you. They look great. Literally, my only complaint about the visuals is some of the like UI UX stuff I already
UI,
mentioned,
yeah.
where I just
Sure.
wanted like space utilized differently, but the actual like world and your characters and the look of them, and you had mentioned it, some of those animations in battle that are the like cooler big
Yeah.
move animations, totally unexpected. The first time, I think the first character that did one of those for me was Inuyasha himself. I forget. But the first time I saw one of those, I was like, oh boy, it was a fun moment.
every magic ability has a unique animation.
Yeah.
That's that's big. That takes up both screens. Each of the characters have their own portraits. You know, the worlds are layered. There's and this happens in some games. I'm not familiar with DS games, but like some Super Nintendo really good ones or different things like that have some mountain areas where the background is like a different thing than the foreground, and
Yeah.
they do some of that here too. Yeah, I thought vibrant, great color, love the sprite work, graphics.
Even the overworld map was really cool looking. It's
Yeah.
like they did fairly big or either pretty small land or pretty big sprites. Like you were a big chunk of it, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Godzilla
one of
going around
those.
crashing. the sea.
Exactly. Yeah, you're like crossing a bridge and you're like stepping across the river in one step. But that's not abnormal. That's
No.
genre fair and totally fair game. So I don't say that as a complaint, but to say that even those elements looked really nice.
It didn't make me want to go watch the anime, so they failed.
If
Interesting.
that was their goal.
I think it probably was because I was reading this lined up with that. What's it called? The return of the anime, the final act. Inuyasha, the final act.
Oh,
So I think they were looking to, drive
bridge the gap.
Yeah, bridge the gap there. But
I won't say that it
really.
made me want to go watch it, but I was more interested in it than I usually am for these kinds of games.
Yeah, I'm not even like dogging on it really. Like,
Whoa,
oh my bad.
sit, Nolan. Yeah, I mean, I'm. You're not gonna catch me dead watching this, but I was.
Okay, well
We
that's
just progressively
stronger.
keep getting more offensive.
Yeah.
It is certainly not for us, guy. Like I think. Oh,
Nah, I
Garlive
wouldn't-
was actually talking this week. Like this is actually like a reverse of some of. I don't know about a reverse, but of some of the anime tropes of the time. This one is kind of like a little bit more for the younger girl audience. Of
Yeah,
know,
you
but
can tell too.
I'm not just saying this one with Janice, but
No, I
even
know,
the
yeah.
other one,
Yeah.
because of, I mean, everybody's fawning over Inuyasha. Kagome is the main kind of
Yep.
protagonist in
Yeah.
the original anime, so like that's what's going on here. So don't come to us for the anime like connection here. Come to us for the game expertise.
Oh God, don't do that either.
Don't come to us. We don't got much to offer.
You're in the wrong place.
Musically.
I felt like this
Oh.
was a little bit more of a mixed bag than the graphics. When the music was good, the music itself I felt like I really liked. They went a couple of places they were too tropey, a little too heavy-handed, a little too just sort of on the nose with the real like cheesy sort of music that was like matching what was going on, which I didn't super love. And I don't know if it's console specific, and this is always an issue with the DS, or if it was something about their implementation. But the technical implementation of this music I felt like wasn't the greatest. It felt kind of overly compressed and just sort of like but some of the actual like the good musical arrangements were actually pretty decent, I thought. So I don't know. I had really mixed feelings.
I have nothing to comment really on the music. I guess it's okay. I don't really. It didn't stand out to me, but it certainly fits within this game.
Yeah.
I didn't notice what you're talking about, Kenny. Maybe because I'm more used to the DS, and it's
Yeah,
not like the
possibly.
DS sounds insanely good or something usually.
No, and it's not like it's like the worst sound font ever. It's not like we were playing a, like, I don't even know, original Game Boy or something that's like very, very limited.
Yeah.
You could get music. It just felt like something wasn't quite there in the technical implementation. I can't even really like convey what it was. And then the music was just a mixed bag. When it was good, I thought it was great, but some of it was not working for me.
I thought all the music was good. It fit contextually. I do think they were probably maybe either not enough tracks or they were fairly small loops, short loops, and so you're hearing it a lot over and over again. But I think they were good. I think they worked. I don't really have any complaints there, and I didn't really notice the sound font thing, but I get that with the DS. I will say, I'm telling you, anytime I get to play a game on its original console, and maybe this is even more extreme when it's a handheld one, just because of the tactile experience there.
I think it is.
And the dual screens. There's something about a DS. I'm glad we got a DS because we needed a DS to play
I'm glad
these
that
DS
y'all
games.
like are now
Yeah.
aware of the
Yeah.
power of the DS. The
Yeah.
DS was such a goated console. It still is. I mean, the 3DS. It's nice to have that and to be able to play backwards compatible games.
It's just like you could, like this one in particular, you could play strictly on the PC, and maybe y'all did this week, but it is
on
different.
DS.
It is different playing it on the DS.
Yeah, it tactile's the right word. You said it. And that is why I do comment when I don't get to use my stylus the way that I might want to, because that would just add to the experience. But yeah, it's better to play on physical when possible.
I bring it up when we have games that are 100% tethered to an IP, and that sometimes they don't age well if the IP isn't ongoing. I don't think that means you shouldn't make games that are tethered to IPs. I just am saying that, like this one, Inuyasha, right? I don't think is still running anymore, unless the 50th reboot or whatever. But like, it's not still running, so it's probably not going to connect to new fans. So like people today trying to go back and play this game, they're not necessarily going to have the connection to it that an audience would have had in 2007, 2008, around that time.
For sure. I think
But-
that like some of these animes from this time have continued on, and some of them even made it onto like Netflix or something like that.
That's cool.
But I don't think this one did. So it's worth talking about to know that like it was big enough for them to make how many games you said? Like
Well,
like a ton?
I think earlier maybe I said a dozen or so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
about a
something like
dozen
that.
video games. Which here's the thing.
Okay.
So the earliest was just called Inuyasha. It's for the PlayStation in 2001, and the latest, most recent, being Inuyasha: A Tale of Rebirth for the smartphone in 2020.
In 2020, bro.
This was the last console release.
Oh no.
They moved completely mobile.
Yes, in Japan,
crazy.
exclusively. Remember, we've
Wow.
already said it, but Japan, huge gaming,
And the
mobile
audience, like
gaming.
you were saying.
Yeah,
the
yeah, and the
it
audience,
wasn't.
sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. If you want a copy of this Nintendo DS cart for your DS, it's going to be $50 loose, $70 complete in box, and $275 new.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Nolan, why did you not like Inuyasha? Is it simply because you played Expedition 33 too much this week?
Yes, actually. I'm shocked at how much they were able to make an RPG feel like anything but an RPG. It is one of the more insanely boring games I've ever played on this podcast. I hate it. Smiley face. It didn't connect with me. The story is the pacing of the game is so slow. It drags. It throws way too much dialogue at you and text at you. So yes, if you're not informed with the show or these characters, you don't care. And that's the meat of this game. There is combat, there are random encounters, but it's not that kind of game. I hate it. The end.
Hate it.
I hate it.
Strong.
Kenny, do you hate it?
No,
Sweet.
I do not hate it. But I don't love it. I live somewhere in the middle. I know, unsurprisingly. Nuance and I tend to be good buddies. I think Nolan didn't like how much story there was. I was okay with it. I felt like it matched what it was going for. Very much we want to tell a story in this anime world and we're going to put some game on it kind of experience. There's definitely some like implementation things that I wish were different. Like Nolan, I wish there was a little bit more depth, a little bit more sort of traditional RPG choicing, but it wasn't like it was completely shallow either. Um, yeah, this is one of those games that it's okay. Like, I didn't feel like it excelled at anything, but I also wasn't super offended at anything. So I'm not in Nolan's camp of saying I hate it. Uh, but there's so many other good RPGs out there. I'd have a hard time telling people they need to go play this. So, game is very just mid. It might work for some people, won't work for others. And I am secretly. And so no new game plus. I think you can spend your time better in other areas unless you're a fan of the show, like specifically, or a young Japanese girl 15 years ago.
Or Dustin.
Brothers, sisters, and themsters, I liked this game and had fun with it. I played 3/4 of it and would have beaten it this week if I
Dang.
wouldn't have started Expedition 33.
Wow. So confirmed Japanese schoolgirl.
Schoolgirl from 15 years ago.
From 15 years ago.
Isekai.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, I get many of the complaints of my co-stars, but but just those things don't bother me as much. And I will say that I have a fairly low threshold when it comes to turn-based JRPGs. Like, you give me a turn-based JRPG and there is a high likelihood I'm going to enjoy myself. I disagree with Kenny in particular. Nolan, you may have said some of this too. I think that this game did really, really well for not tethering it too much to the anime in the sense that an outsider wouldn't know what's going on. Again, I was not confused.
I agree. There were a couple very specific shout out things that I do. That were odd. You know, like things that, like, moves you got that you just weren't explained what they were, or the whole sit boy thing that just like had no context. But like, it works. They told their story in a way that you could follow.
Do you remember during this time where just we each get our own piece of the platform to do
Just
it?
mad that you're taking his spotlight.
We're collaborating, and we're collaborators.
Collaborate and
co-stars.
listen, Kenny.
Co-star's gonna let me your star.
Wow. I think, and in research actually, because we will probably hear it again in the commentary, I think other people say something similar, that you've got to be a fan of the show to like this. I think fans of the show did not like this. From all of my research, fans of the show did not like it, but because of the story reasons. They were like, there's no reason to bring in this white girl into this world.
Janice who dis.
Yeah, exactly. And Janice was just like, and she was this kind of just like somewhat soulless. I mean, just copy paste. It doesn't matter. She doesn't really add anything to the story. And you've got other fascinating characters. That's what they say.
Sure.
I don't agree necessarily.
Whoever this Janice girl is, I'm sure she had a soul. We're past your commentary. I guess you haven't given a verdict. I thought we were chit-chatting after. I'll shut up. Finish your thoughts.
I think hardcore fans of this anime series, will not necessarily like this game for story implications. I think retro gamers that like JRPGs and want slight twists, but nothing that really reinvents the wheel here, will find something that could be enjoyable. I had fun. I liked it, but as I've said before, there are two meters when it comes to New Game Plus status. One is my personal enjoyment, and one is what I recommend it to the masses. And my personal enjoyment, though it is higher than these guys, I understand that most people would probably have enough issues with this game. If nothing else, the amount of combat encounters and the frequency of that would just kind of turn them off from it. Please don't get me wrong. I enjoyed this game, but I'm not going to give it my vote for New Game Plus status. Which means, unless Kenny has something else to say.
No, I covered it all.
Inuyasha, Secret of the Divine Jewel, is unfortunately not New Game Plus certified.
Keep the no streak going.
But what did you think? On our YouTube poll this week, It was 0% yes for the longest time. It finalized at 3% said yes.
Okay.
Have we ever had 0?
No.
No.
I wish
10% said no, and 87% have never played it before.
we were so close, guys. You failed me.
So close. Some from our community wrote in. 87% never played it before, and then our community is buying into that because they didn't want to play it with us this week either. But we have a few. Garlisle said, in terms of authenticity, its setting, music, and such do feel like they belong. It's basically a self-insert story, which actually fits the intended audience fine. To the point, I'm surprised Janice isn't nameable, so you can't pretend it's you. And
That's a
there's an
good
attempt...
point.
There's an attempt to spice up combat with the tiny regenerating MP pools and the support attack/defense functions, but none of that really amounts to much. The game has a lazy pace, an ugly UI, lots of empty dead ends that compound a high encounter rate, and despite its attempts to avoid it, it still falls into the very basic spam strong attack combat. It's not actively awful in any way, but it's also doing nothing above the beyond the bare bones JRPG template. Only the most dedicated Inuyasha fans would get much out of this, and they didn't make Koga playable as far as I can tell, so that's not me this time.
You are Janice. We are Janice.
Ooh, that is good.
Yeah, that's good, right?
Until the last sentence, I fully agree with everything he said, and then he lost me.
Hamburger Dad said first time writing in after playing a game, so hopefully this goes well. Like a lot of anime shows, having a JRPG spin-off seems like a recipe for success. Unfortunately, here it didn't quite work. I found the story to be awkwardly written and the gameplay subpar. The battles were strange in that you didn't choose everyone's actions before turn began, and the way the camera cut to the attack made it unnecessarily slow. And escaping is basically pointless at a low level since you have to escape with each character individually. The one positive I'll give it is that it was generally easy to figure out where to go next. The world was simply designed, and you had many NPCs to point you in the right direction. That's something that was still lacking in some JRPGs at the time and was a pleasant surprise. Overall, no NGP from me unless you really loved the anime.
Yeah, that sort of world progression pace comment is actually a good one. They really did keep this moving for the most part, which is welcome when you're trying to do what they were trying to do with the game. So
And then finally, Mike said, and yet another encounter, one of many in this game. If you manage to deal with that tediousness, podcast/music helps. I guess you get a somewhat decent looking and sounding Nintendo DS JRPG in the world of Inuyasha. It's got some nice little details like Inuyasha losing his demon abilities during New Moon and having black instead of white hair. The turn-based battle system, the story and banter was nothing special, but might work in the world of Inuyasha, which I know very little about. I'd say fans could risk taking a closer look. Everyone else is probably better off looking at more renowned JRPGs. No NGP from me.
That's so true.
Also, we never even talked about that moon mechanic.
Moon cycle,
If you noticed it in your menuing, the thing is, it's crazy. I'm serious here. I've played 3/4 of the game and never, I guess, had the full moon or whatever cycle happened to where I didn't have Inuyasha's abilities anymore.
I wonder if it's random or
maybe every time it was almost there, I went into a new dungeon where it stops or resets. Yeah. I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah. Thank you for all that wrote in and included your commentary on the Retro Game of the Week. You can do that each and every week. Just send in your thoughts to ngppodcast@gmail.com or hop into our Discord channel. We've got a commentary section there. We'd love to include your thoughts as a part of our episode next week. But for now, we're going to set aside Inuyasha Secret of the Divine Jewel, and we are not going to randomly select the next game of the week.
Why not?
Because it's time for a director's episode! For this very special director's episode, we will be having one of our Discord community members, one of our friends, friend of the show, Sasser, will be joining us to talk about a game they hand-selected, and it is... Sasser's game came out in 1997. Very good year.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is an action game with some puzzle elements.
Okay.
And Nolan, it was developed by a company called Rare.
Okay. Say Capcom.
It was published by a company named Nintendo,
Okay.
and it released on a console called the Nintendo 64.
It still could be bad, actually.
In this game, you use vehicles.
Yep.
To destroy buildings
Yeah.
with puzzle mechanics inspired by those of the original Donkey Kong. Do you know what game we're playing, Nolan?
Yes.
Oh, no. But you
I
don't have a smile on your face.
I usually don't.
The game that we're playing for the next 7 days that Kenny's never heard of before, nor have I, is Blast Core.
Yeah. You know why I know about this game? Usually
You
did
played
not
it?
know it was rare.
Yeah.
It's because of the N64 playlist that has billions of views on YouTube. I think
Wow.
there's a song from Blast Core on there.
Nice.
And I was like, what is this game? And that's what it is.
And Kenny, I am pronouncing that correctly. Corps.
Sure, yeah.
How do you
It's
pronounce
never
it?
corpse.
No.
I mean, it
no,
is
no,
if
no.
there's an E.
If there's an E at the end, sure.
Yeah,
All
blast core.
All right. You don't pronounce the P or the S?
Last?
Hello?
No.
Last?
Not in Blast. We're talking about Corpse.
Blat.
Find a copy of Blast Core and play it along with Dustin, Nolan, Kenny, and Sasser, and many from our community this week.
Or go by Expedition 33, and you can go talk about it in our Discord server. We have an Expedition 33 thread. Discord.gg/NewGamePlus.
While you're on the internet, you might as well hop over to patreon.com and vote with your wallet for support of your favorite retro gaming podcast. You'll be joining many in our wonderful community who support what we do on a weekly basis, including our producer level supporters, Alex and Marlene, Antonin, Ben, Cody, Craig, Daggany, Dan Willett, Garlisle, Hallex, Harold, Hey Brother, Jay Robert, Jake Jordan, Justin Clint, Levi, Maximum, Megatron, Miss Muso, Not Enough Dog, Rad Mac, Sajin, Scotty Shane, Shauna, Snakematic, Spinning the Jet, Super Hybrid, Swaggy Taco Fish, Psycho Mantis, Thomas Turtle, Unbedavable, and Zion. Thank you, of course, to our director level supporters, Brojim, Siegfried, Tins, and Sasser. And, of course, to our newest patrons, Xanacon, Stephen Fox, and Lapidus Landris.
Wow.
name.
And Kenny, Stephen Fox and Lapidus Landris, what did they just become?
Awesome. Yeah, they're producer level supporters. I don't know why you wanted me to especially call them out.
Because you always do.
That's true. And we believe in equity and in quality
That's true.
and in doing the right thing.
I don't know why you would want me to do something that I've done for 476 episodes so far. Actually,
I'm allowed to change it up. Sometimes we just gotta do something new and fresh.
You can follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're there, please leave a kind rating and review. Do it. You've been listening to us for years and haven't left a review. That's the least you can do.
It's
Are you
crazy
kidding
that
me?
it's crazy that you've already closed the episode. You're not hearing this. It's
Right.
crazy.
It's crazy that after we finish talking about the game and we say the next game of the week, you've stopped listening.
Yeah,
You disgust me.
you disgust me.
Our episode artwork was created by our friend Dave. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Blast Crops. Until then, I'm still the little fox boy girl.
I'm still confused.
I'm from America, but I live in Japan.
Oh, not an Expedition 33 reference? I'm
Perry.
Louis. And this has been New Game Plus.